Hello everyone, it's Helen from Journaling Planet, and today I'm just going to do a very quick tutorial on how to make some faux Polaroid journaling spots. And this is an example prototype that I've done. You may recognize the lady in the picture. I'll explain to you how I created this, what materials I used, and what you could use an alternative if you don't have that in your stash. I had an idea that this would make a really cute journaling spot some time ago. And so for a while I have been on the lookout for some of those pieces of glossy photograph paper that were really popular in the noughties. People used to, I think they still do, print off photos on their own computer rather than take them to a Photoshop. And so as soon as I saw this, I thought, you know what, that's what I've been looking for. That's what I've been waiting for. I'm going to buy that because I don't think it's going to get used otherwise. I'm going to reclaim this material and make something out of it. So I think you could make this with a normal piece of white copy paper or junk mail. The black of a piece of junk mail would be better because it's better for the environment. A lot of junk mail has a blank reverse. So you could just glue junk mail down to a piece of card. And what I did in this case is I also cut out of a book page about film a picture of Marilyn Monroe. And I will use other photographs from that same film book for the other ones that I'm going to make and show you. But you could, I genuinely think that you could use any photograph. I don't even think it has to be of a person. I think it could be just of something that people would likely take a photograph of. I'm really thrilled to be using this glossy photograph paper because I don't think people have much use for it anymore. It is gloss on the front and it is matte on the back, so you could write on it. And all I did was I glued the picture down and I wrote a little kind of label on it. The film, The 7-Year Itch, was set in New York, but of course it was filmed in Hollywood. So the caption isn't quite, I would say, accurate, but it's just supposed to be fun, pretend. So that's the basic. And I'll just show you, because once I've made one, you see, I can use it as a bit of a template size-wise. I cut all this down on my trimmer, but now that I've got a template, I can just trim this down. It says very helpfully on this paper what the original size of it was, which is 6 times 4 inches, which is in the UK at least, your standard photograph size. But for Polaroid, I want to trim a little bit down from that. To me, it looks about, well, let me just measure it on my mat. It's about 1 inch. So you're really looking to make something that is 4 inches by 5 inches. At least that's what I've used. And then once I'd done that bit, I got an image that I had already cut down roughly into square. It's not perfect. The cutting on this is not perfect. It's just, you know, as close as I can get it. And what I did then was I took my vintage photo ink and I just went around the edge, even though you can't see it massively, you can see it, you know, a little bit. I went around the edge of the photo. I wouldn't say this step was strictly necessary, especially if you've got a black and white image, because the odds of it showing up that much in some places, very low. But the bits where you can see it, I think it just adds a little something. And, you know, never hurts to just put a bit of ink around and just see what happens. So, yeah, just getting a bit more in the corners, just getting a feel for that. And then I just, of course, glued. You see, the problem with me using white paper is that I can't keep white paper clean, not a chance. Not a chance, which is part of the reason why I had to ink so thoroughly around that Marilyn Monroe Polaroid. I had to ink quite heavily around the edges because I just can't keep white white paper remotely clean. That's me. What can I say? There's ink everywhere when it comes to me. Ink and paint and anything else that's messy. Right. Again, I roughly want to get this straight, but I'm not gonna fuss. I'm just getting it as close as I can, and I'm not gonna worry about it if it's not quite where I want it, or if it gets a little bit out of line. I'm not going to worry. I'm just going to press it down and remember that it's a handmade project, and that's all fine. So that's that. And then what I did was I obviously inked around the outside. And afterwards all I did was write a little something on the bottom to make it look like a label, like you would write on an old vintage Polaroid picture, if you wanted to remember where you'd taken it and who was in the photo. Okay. However, this is fine. These are fine as, you know, authentic attempts, but this is the junk journaling world. So we do not have to keep it authentic. Okay. We could do something like, because we can do whatever we want with these projects, add a little bit of lace to one corner. Why not? Why not? So let's start with that. Just need to find my fabric glue. It was just temporarily evading me. So let's see if this will come out today. Okay, got some fabric glue on that. Just going to press that down and let it dry. And on top of that lace, I think I would like to add some wax. I've got this wax seal that is a little bee. So I'm just going to put some paper underneath. Don't think it's strictly necessary, but just as a precaution whilst I do this. I got some candles a while back from a thrift store that I can use for the wax. Maybe I'll go with purple, I think, for this. And I haven't used this before, so I'm going to have to... This is not something you should try at home if you are under 18 without an adult present. All of these crafts are designed for people who are 18 and over. So a little disclaimer there, but you know, I don't recommend doing anything with a live flame unless you've got adult supervision. And this is really something that I'm expecting adults to do. This channel is designed for adults. Ooh, bit of wax dripping on the, not where I want it. So we'll just get it all piled up here. Okay, that took quite a while, and I'm just going to, whilst I can, just peel off this excess wax that I don't want there. That's fine. Cute little imprint, which you can see close up. And I think that looks really cute. Just something a bit different. And when it comes to writing a little message on this, it doesn't have to be like a caption of who's in it. You could just write something like, you know, lovers always win. You know, just a little something. And obviously this is not what a vintage Polaroid picture would look like necessarily, but it doesn't matter because it is the world of junk journaling, so we can do whatever we want. So there's those two prototypes. There's the one I've just made, and there's somewhere under here, there is the Marilyn Monroe one. No, it's over here. So there's two possibilities. And now I'm going to look at making some smaller ones. Obviously, you can just write on the back of this because it's matte on the back. So let's look at making a couple of smaller ones. So what I was thinking is I would probably make two smaller ones like this. So maybe trim this one down slightly more. Just a little bit more. Just so there's slightly more space between the two. And maybe just trim the edges of this one down a bit more. That might be fine actually, just as it is. Great. So yes, my idea was to cut this sort of in half and then to just make two smaller ones. Maybe trim the very bottom off them. So I'm just going to mark lightly with a fold where the halfway mark is in this paper. And then I'm going to cut straight down that fold. I think I'm going to do that using my trimmer. Okay, that was very straightforward. And now I'll probably end up trimming the very bottom off each of these, but I think making two from one sheet of paper is just the best way of making something without wasting too much. So I think that's just the best way of making sure that you maximize the paper. So I'm just going to ink around the edges. Okay, that's done. And now just to glue them down. I mean, I think watching me do this just shows how extraordinarily simple this craft project really is. I'm not sure if I am going to, maybe I'll just trim the tiniest bit off the bottom because I don't mind it being a bit longer. It just gives people more room to write, and really I'm not going for complete authenticity with this. I'm just going for something close to authentic. So it doesn't have to be like exactly the size that a Polaroid picture would have been, because I'm not getting near that anyway. That's lovely. Okay, and now we'll just ink around. The inking is of course optional, as are any of the embellishments that I'm putting on there. All you really need is a piece of white paper as a border and a picture for the focal point. I thought I would just try putting a little bit of ribbon on these as a little bit of an embellishment. So let's have a little look at what I've got in my stash. Obviously, well, let me try putting ribbon on one and then I'll maybe do something a bit different on the other one. I mean, something like that is very pretty. It's not at all authentic, but it doesn't really matter. It's just something that's a bit different and interesting. So I'm just going to put a little bit across, I think. So that's going in one direction, and I'm just wondering about whether or not I should go also with a piece of washi down the vertical side. So I have this one from the washi shop, and I'm just wondering about, maybe it looks like postage stamps. I'm just maybe wondering about one or two of these, maybe one just in the corner. Obviously I could use real postage stamps as well. All these things are an option. I can embellish it whichever way I choose. But I think that's really cute. I could go further. I could keep adding, and I may yet do that. So we'll leave that, just the glue to set on that for a moment on the ribbon, and we'll just move on to the other one. Could do something quite simple on this one, such as just look at some stickers or tickets to embellish. Let me just have a little look at what I've got in here. You know, small things like this. What else have I got in my ticket collection? Just something small. There's a cute one I've got here that says dream on it, and I wonder actually if that would go very nicely here. I think it would. So I'm actually going to finish that. I'm going to just glue stick that onto that piece of ribbon, and I'm going to call that done. I could keep going on and on and on with this, and so could you. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just keeping these fairly simple for demonstration purposes. Lovely. Okay, so that is definitely done now. That's 3 embellishments. Let's go back to this one. See how I get just distracted so easily when I'm looking at embellishments. I don't know why I picked this, but I just like this Australian stamp with kind of people on the beach from behind. That kind of just looks cool, and I'm wondering about just putting a little bit of this ticket poking out. Maybe if I ink it as well, just as a little extra embellishment. Maybe that there and that on this side, or like that, with a bit of stamping on it. Kind of covers up a bit more than I want of the Polaroid picture, so I'll just come in and trim that and go again. That's what I want. Okay, let's glue these down. Simple but effective, I think. Something a little bit different. And there's still space to write on this one, so I could write remember to dream. And that one. So let's look at what we've made. Got the 2 smaller ones, which by the way are really, really cute. They just look very cute, the size of them. Slightly smaller journaling spots. Just a few embellishments put on them, and they just really pop. And then we've got these 2 bigger ones as well, with the lace and the wax. And then there's just the original authentic prototype. I just think there's something a little bit different. Space to write on the back, something to bob into a pocket or into a tuck. I think you'd get a lovely surprise if you opened a pocket or a tuck and found these sitting in there waiting for you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this has inspired you. Please do tell me in the comments if you try this and let me know what works for you, any interesting embellishments that you use that work really well, and any other ideas you have or that are sparked by these Polaroids. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.